we're so early on the deck. That's too premature. We need to have a moment here. Hello, friends. We're back. Grace, it's our last community call of the year. I feel like it's kind of wild that we got here.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that it's already kind of becoming the end of the year. Like November's in 2 weeks. Like it is the end of the year almost.
I know. I mean, so we are going to do another release in November. But there's also Ignite and GitHub Universe and .NET Conf all slam packed into the beginning and middle of November. So we're gonna not do a community call next month, and then we all take a little break from releases in December, which I'm looking forward to. We love new releases of AZD, but also nice to slow down a little bit towards the end of the year with all the vacations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. How's your morning been going? What's new?
Not much. I am recovering from staying up really late from reading a book. I was just telling you about that.
Oh, yeah.
Just today. But I stayed up until 3 finishing a book that I didn't even like very much. So dealing with those after effects.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know. I get even if the book's not good, I end up like powering through it because I just want to get it done.
Same. I read the book in one sitting, but I also don't love it.
Wow. I've been reading a lot too. I also have like a million cats in my office today. So I think I did tweet about this before we went live, but if it gets wild, I might have to, I don't know, maybe turn off my camera. And I've got, actually, maybe I only have 2 cats, 1 cat in here now, but they're coming in and out. So we have a very chatty chat this morning. We have Gregor, who I know from Twitter and GitHub, and who hosted a stream with our friend John, who's also here. Thanks for joining, folks. Excited to have you on the call, and welcome, Gregor. First AZD community call. Happy to have you here. Christian's here. Hello, Christian. AZD early adopter, super fan. I think I proclaimed that like a couple of community calls ago. And also a cat person. I used to be a dog person, then I got 3 cats, and now I'm a cat person. So and yeah, I guess we could just kick it off. We have some friends we've seen before, some AZD teammates. Bring up the deck. Grace and I have a couple of announcements before we get started with demos and kind of new feature stuff. If you're new here, this is the AZD core team. We have many partners that we work with, but these are the folks that you're likely to see on the community calls talking about new features. You might also see them on GitHub if you're filing issues, having discussions there. They're friendly. Say hi to them. General announcements. I have 2 announcements to cover here. We've got Terraform and ARM64 builds of AZD have both been promoted. So Terraform has gone from alpha to beta. So if you've been using Terraform, you no longer have to use a feature flag to enable it. You can just use it in product. So pretty excited about that. And then if you're using ARM64, our builds are now stable. We didn't see any issues when it was sitting in beta, so we advanced it to stable. Again, if issues with any of these, comments, feedback, let us know on the Azure Developer CLI, Azure Dev repo, which I will throw a link up here. And then Grace, do you want to talk about Hacktoberfest? I know we have like a call out later on, but
yeah, we have a slide and we'll talk about like some people who have contributed already and like what Hacktoberfest is, but AZD is open source. I think everybody here knows that, but so as part of Hacktoberfest, which is like calling people to contribute to open source software, we welcome contributions all the time, but especially this month if you want to participate in Hacktoberfest.
Yes, and the same GitHub link you can find if you look at the Help Wanted or the Hacktoberfest labels on any of the issues. There are a number of bugs, features that we would love help with. The team is pretty friendly. We all love open source. Love to kind of answer any questions you might have about anything there.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Features. We're going to bring him on. It's Victor. Hey, Victor, do you want to tell us about the new changes to AZD provision?
Do we want to remove the GitHub? Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Sorry, I was delayed. My bad.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, hello everyone. So yeah, this release we had a very really cool feature for ACD provision when you are using the bicep provider, because ACD will realize when there are no changes on their infrastructure and just skip. Um, this is this is this is a really good improvement versus what we were doing in the past, of provisioning everything, sending a new deployment every time, and expecting Azure to figure out what was changed and whatnot. But that was uh, costing us some time of waiting. So now ACD can figure it out. So I can quickly show how that is working. Share screen over here.
And while you're pulling that up, John, open source contributor John, says, "Hi, Victor."
Hello.
Some friendly folks in the chat this morning. I'm waiting to see your screen share pop up, Victor.
Yeah, I was just.
Oh, you getting there? Okay. No, you're good. Okay. There we go.
Did it work?
It worked.
Cool. I'm here in a terminal where I have a small ACD project, and I'm going just to run provision now. And so the first thing, as you notice, the provider was initialized, and then we can see that ACD is comparing the current state of the template, the infrastructure template, and the inputs for it, and it realized that it is still the same, so it was just skipped. We also have a way to say a flag to ask ACD to ignore the current state and just run the provisioning again. Um, in this case, it doesn't matter that the state provision state is still the same. ACD will still submit the provisioning uh, operation. Um, and yeah, so while this is working, a quick notes or borderlines is that this works when you are using ACD as your main infrastructure provider, or the only way that you are mutating or changing your infrastructure. This means that if you go to the Azure portal, or if you use something else to change your infrastructure, and then ACD won't be able to notice that it has been changed. So for those cases, to sync again ACD, you can use the no state flag to make sure that whatever you have on your files, on your template, is reprovisioned again, and then the state can be used again, right? So that's pretty much it. I don't know if there's any questions from the chat or anything, but
Yeah, any questions, folks? I was really excited to see this one land because it's a big time saver, I think, for a lot of folks, and try to, zero to wow as fast as possible. So
yeah. Another cool thing about this is that now on your pipelines, you don't need to make special considerations for telling GitHub that if you didn't change your infrastructure folder, then you don't run provision, or you skip, or things like that. You can just let ACD to run provision every time, and ACD will automatically detect that there's no changes and move on to the next step. So that's also a win.
yeah, I've definitely had like conditional stuff in my CI/CD pipelines before to try and get around that. So makes things easier for folks. John in the chat asked, so then what does refresh do then if we can't detect the change on Azure?
Yeah, you mean probably the ACD environment refresh, I'm assuming.
I think so.
So yeah, so one of the things that the provisioning state is doing is that if we detect that there are no changes, we will still pull like the latest state. This is your outputs from your last provisioning, and update your environment. This is for a case for, imagine you delete your folder entirely, and then init the project again from your source code, but you have lost your ACD environment, then before you will need to run ACD environment refresh to pull all the latest status. Now you can just run ACD provision, and if you create the same environment name, ACD will compare the current state to that state on Azure and just pull the output. So at the end, it's very similar to ACD environment refresh, but you don't need to call ACD environment refresh now, right? It's like provision will do it for you. And that's what in the past you will need to use environment refresh as part of your CI pipelines, for instance, in order to sync before calling deploy. So deploy can take the state from your environment. Now you don't need to do that, right? So
yeah. John says, okay, perfect. We love it. Okay. Any other questions for Victor? You know where to find him on the internet if you have more questions later. Okie dokie. Okay. Thanks, Victor. Bye. We've seen him before. I feel like, Wallace, have you not been on like the last like 3 community calls? You've been busy.
Yeah. No, welcome back, everybody. Happy to be here. Yeah, so Victor, that was a great segue right into mine, right? So leading into kind of some more new features around environments in AZD. And one of the, most exciting things here is the support for remote environments. So not only can we have this new provisioning cache where we could, reduce the amount of time that it takes to provision when we detect that there's no changes, but now you could actually share your environment state, across machines, with other developers on your team, just to make, AZD that more kind of, developer and team friendly. So let me just dive in and kind of show you what I mean by that. And let's see, so I'm in a terminal here. In the background, I have VS Code with just kind of a cloned repo, one of our to-do samples that I've used before. And there's no .azure folder, so no environments have been initialized locally within this project. So if I do an AZD environment list right now, we'll see that I basically get an empty list. There's nothing here. But I did have projects that I created on my other machine. How can I access those really easily? So if I go back into my Azure.yaml here, and I have this new metadata that I can set up under the state node within my Azure.yaml file, where I can configure the remote state for my project. Today, we only support Azure Blob Storage, but we've built this in such a way that we could roll out new kind of remote environment providers in the future. So that we'll have some kind of more updates later in the year around some new providers there. So today, I'm going to show you what Azure Blob Storage looks like. So today, I just say, hey, my backend is Azure Blob Storage, and I just give it the account name of my Azure storage account. The access to this blob storage account, follows all standard kind of RBAC style for permissions. So anybody who you expect to have, contributor access to this blob storage just needs to make sure that they have the, Azure blob storage contributor role or whatever the exact name is. And then so you can definitely secure your blob storage and your environments as you need within your organization or your team. So now I made this change. I'm just going to save this now, come back into my terminal, run AZD environment listing again, and we'll see that I actually have those 2 other environments that I created from my other machine. And if I know that I want to use one of these, so I want to use, environment 2 here, I'm going to do AZD environment select of that environment. And under the covers, that's also doing an environment refresh. So it's going out to your Azure Blob Storage. It's pulling down your configuration, your environment files. And now in the background, you may have saw this Azure folder pop up. I see a .env here of my environment. And now I have this environment. There wasn't any extra things stored in here, but let's see what that looks like. So if I do a AZD env set and say foo equals bar, right? In the back end, that's gonna set a new environment variable. If I swap over to my browser now and I go into the Azure portal, I am inside of my remote state storage account that I configured here. And the way that this currently works is that the convention-based naming uses your AZD project name as the container name. If that container name doesn't exist, it'll attempt to create it. If I click into that, here are the two environments that we created within these folders. And I could browse into that end file here. And I can, if I go to edit mode, you'll see here's that new one that I just added. So basically any AZD command that manipulates your environment's variables or environment's configuration will be automatically persisted to your configured remote state provider. So this kind of opens up the doors for a couple cool features. Number one, it's like if I work on different machines, maybe I have a desktop computer at home, I have my laptop when I'm traveling, you could easily kind of just swap between those environments and share them very easily. Or like I mentioned before, if you're in a team setting, Victor and I are on a team. We're working against the same AZD environments and leveraging kind of a shared infrastructure model here. We could easily, select the same environment, work against that, deploy, run, debug locally, and kind of highlight some of those scenarios. So that's kind of the core feature. Any kind of questions from the team or the audience here?
You have 4 people in the chat saying that it's fancy, it's very cool, very neat, amazing. So lots of excitement around this one. I don't know if you mentioned it, Wallace, but you can also do this like globally for your projects, not just in the app itself,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. If you want to switch back to the slides real quick.
Yeah, let's
So
do
there's
that.
2 ways that you could configure this. It could be a per project configuration within your Azure YAML, or if you just want to make sure that no matter what AZD project you're working on, that you're storing that remote state, you can basically take that same block of YAML, convert it into JSON, and then that's stored inside your user's AZD config.json. And then that'll just be configured globally. And now all of your projects, all of your environments will be automatically persisted every time you use AZD. So you could either manually modify that file, or you can make AZD config commands. You could say, AZD config set state.remote.backend equals Azure Blob Storage, and set the settings that way as well. And we have we could put some links to the docs in today's community call going out to our official docs site that kind of gives you a lot more details there.
Yeah, I can pull up a banner while you're answering this question. Gregor asked, does the storage account have soft delete enabled?
I guess that's totally up to you. So we don't create the storage account. So one of the prerequisites is that you have created the storage account. Either maybe you have an AZD project that configures your remote storage account, or you just create it through the Azure portal. So there's no requirement that you have soft delete enabled here. The only requirement is that the developers that you want to leverage the storage account have the right permissions against those storage account and containers to be able to read and write to those containers.
And the link for the docs I just threw up on the screen, ak.ms/azd-remote ems. Any other questions for Wallace? I think this feature is like pretty stinking powerful. So really excited to have that land and sort of the things we can now build on top of it too. I think that answered Gregor's question. We got a cool thanks. So cool. You're getting a lot of praise. I think you should screenshot this for your like performance review that's coming up.
I know, right? I'll make a poster, put it in my office.
Yeah, Wallace is the best. Get it like laser printed on a plaque or something. I love it. Okie dokie. I think, do you have another slide in here next?
I think I do, yeah.
Overachieving. We have another amazing feature from Wallace this release.
All right, so this is more of a kind of developer focused. I mean, we're all developers, right? Everybody who's using AZD is a developer, but this is like as you're developing your app, we've heard a lot of feedback that the hooks feature that we rolled out last year or earlier this year, is being adopted by a lot of teams and projects. Basically enables more advanced scenarios where you want to inject your own scripting into the AZD pipeline, if you will, right? What happens when you before you provision or after you deploy, or a combination of those things. But at the same time, it could get pretty difficult to validate that your hooks and your scripts that you're writing are working as you expected. Before this feature was run, say you're writing a post provision script, right? The only time that that would be executed through AZD is after provisioning, and provisioning, as we all know, can take a minute. So if you were writing, the script that had a lot of, calls to, third parties, or even just extra Azure CLI calls or something, you want to be able to execute this script easily, but have it executed in a way that it's repeatable and the same way that AZD would call it during those commands. So what this allows you to do is basically execute that script directly, kind of bypass the actual AZD command, and just really invoke your script. All of the environment variables will be automatically hoisted into your shell process that's running, and then you'll get a nice little output of everything that's happening in your script. And then you could kind of rinse and repeat, debug your script, make some changes, and do that again, and just really help save yourself some time as you're developing these hook scripts. So if we switch over to the screen share again, I can kind of give you a quick demo here. So I'm just going to use my same project that I have right now. And if I'm going to open my Azure.yaml again. Okay, so say you're about to write a pre-deploy script. If I did an AZD hooks run pre-deploy, right now it's going to tell me that it didn't find any hooks, right? So there's no command hooks found. There's no service hooks found for either of the services in my project. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to uncomment some of this code here. And this is a very simple script. It's a shell script. It's going to do an AZ group list command, which is going to basically just print all the resource groups out into my shell, and then it's going to sleep for 5 seconds to let you see what's happening here. So when I run that now, we'll see the same little preview experience that we get when you do like a Docker build or something inside of AZD. You'll get all that output to your screen, and then if everything goes according to plan, it'll just kind of mark itself as done and be like, hey, we ran that thing. Same thing with if you have service level scripts as well. Both of those will execute. So in this case, I have a pre-deploy script at the project level and a pre-deploy script at this web service level. And if I go ahead and run this again, it's going to run both of those hooks. It's going to run the command hook, and then it's going to continue and run the web hook on that as well. And then as it's going through, you'll get a nice little progress indicator that says, hey, what it did. So we found the command hook. It ran successfully. It's warning us that there was no pre-deploy script for API, which there wasn't. We didn't configure that. And then the web one ran correctly as well. So if you're echoing a lot of extra information, or you just want to kind of see the status of your script as it's running, this is a really just kind of easy way to now do that, and hopefully save yourself some developer cycles and not have to wait for all of the long running processes that are involved in provisioning and deploying your apps.
Yeah, super powerful developer experience feature. Christian also thinks it's super useful. And John adds, using this feature now, super helpful when debugging. I love this one because I think that the original impetus for us implementing it came from an issue on GitHub, like someone asking for the output to be easier to debug. So kind of addressing some feedback there.
Yeah, and if anybody has any features or just ideas or things that are just seem harder than they should be, just add an issue on GitHub. We monitor those regularly, and hopefully we can create a cool feature that'll make it better.
Yeah, even if it's just, hey, this kind of sucks today, help me. That's also helpful information. So yeah, cool. Any last questions for Wallace on Hooks Run? Okay, I think we're gonna transition to Marina. Thanks, Wallace.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, see you in a bit. All right, I think we'll bring Marina up. We will switch back to the slides. Hello, Marina, welcome back.
Hello, folks.
And we're gonna talk about something that you worked on for quite a while, and I think a lot of people are really excited to see the new Awesome-azd template gallery.
Yeah, we have some really nice updates on the Awesome-azd sites. In general, like we updated the layout, the template cards, contribution card, filter bar, and hero search bar. I'm going to switch to my screen share so we can do a quick demo. For the people who first go to the website, it's just going to be azure.github.io/awesome-azd. We can see that the first part is a template library where we could use the search bar to search for titles of each template. The left side is the filter bar, which we could use to filter text in the templates. We then have the gallery part where we have all the template listed here as cards. Each card has the title, author, a brief description, tags, and AZD init comment. Well, notice that on the next card, we have a contribution card to direct you to the contribution page or our repro issue page where we could request a template. So I'm going to try it, assuming that I want to see some new added templates. So I'm going to click on the new cards, and then those are the templates that are being added within a month. I'm interested in, what is the most popular text right now? These are the top 5 popular templates where it has the most folks in the GitHub. So let's say that I'm interested in like ChatGPT. Let's see if I can find any thing that is related to ChatGPT. And I'm thinking perhaps I prefer the language with like .NET or C#. So I'm using the language tag to locate this exactly nice template, which I can either click on the title to direct to and view this awesome repository, or I can just copy that part and then later use in my terminal to quickly getting started with these templates. Yeah, that's just like a quick demo. Wondering if we have any questions on this.
Yeah, I mean, I was super excited to see these changes land, Marina, because the template gallery has grown a lot over the last like year and a half or so, and I think improving our filtering and kind of all of our like the filter bar to me is like so much more legible than it was before. I think the number of templates in here sort of exceeded my expectations, and I'm really excited for folks to be able to find things more easily. Grace, did you want to talk at all about some of the other features or other things that are coming to the website between now and mid-November-ish?
Yeah, I have like a whole list of all the things that are coming, but of course I don't have it pulled up right now. But
I'm putting you on the spot.
Marina's working on a number of things ahead of like the kind of like November conference season. A couple of them being like some more detailed views of like the templates that you can see in the gallery, updating the other pages on Awesome-azd. Those haven't been updated to kind of match this new design yet. A few other things. Dark mode is coming, so be prepared for that. Trying to think if there are any other major like quality of life changes.
I mean, I think the pop-out card that tells you more about each template is the one that I'm like super excited about. I think if you're like if you at all look at the Awesome-azd repo, there are some mocks for what that will look like when it's shipped. But it will have things about like the services used and more details to help you kind of understand what the template is trying to accomplish. So hopefully that's another experience improvement. We do have some comments in the chat. John, really, really nice words that we have the most active team on GitHub. Shout out to the AZD engineering team for being so engaged with the open source community. Kudos to them. John really likes the inline init command and the copy functionality on this website. I think that's also like super, super cool. I think Austin, who isn't on this call, who is the designer for AZD, did an amazing job with this website. So, and then another comment saying that this is like a useful improvement from what they saw last time. So nice work, Marina. Really awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just so many comments today. I love it. People are really showing up for our last community call of the year. Any last comments, questions about the Awesome AZD template gallery for Grace or Marina?
I'll also say we have a discussion open on the Awesome-azd GitHub repository, just like welcoming any feedback or suggestions or anything else about this new UI. So definitely feel free to like chime in there if you have like things that you would also like to see on Awesome-azd or like file an issue. But would love to hear like more feedback if people have it. But good to hear that people are excited about this new UI. Someone built the original like Awesome-azd as part of a hackathon last year, Nitya, who is a cloud advocate, and she did a great job on it, but it was definitely time to put some more effort in. So with our designer and Marina, they did an amazing job on this, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah. And if you're interested in poking around at the GitHub repo, it's also all open source. You can get to it /Azure/awesome-azd on GitHub. There's that discussion Grace mentioned. If you want to if you're super eager and want to take a look at some of the mocks that are coming in the next month or so, you can see them there too. And as always, we're accepting contributions. It's Hacktoberfest. This is another way that you can contribute to AZD if you don't want to write Go, which I love Go. But if you don't want to write Go, this is another way you can contribute. So definitely check that out. All right. Oh, I almost clicked the end stream button. That would have been really bad. It's really, really close to the comments button, which I was pulling back up after adding a banner. So that was, really, I just panicked. Okay. Well, thank you, Marina. We are going to move on to Daniel, and we will see you in a little bit.
All right. See you soon.
All right. Thanks, Marina. All right. Daniel, you're back on stream.
Hi, it's great to be back. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I also have this hardware mute button, and it says it's off, but who knows? Okay, so I have just a simple housekeeping update that is targeting a very specific group of people who may have put their own custom logic around deploying AZD. So our CDN hostname, where we're storing our binaries and our install scripts, is changing from azure-dev.azureedge.net to azdrelease.azureedge.net. So the only users who might be impacted by this are people who have old versions of our install scripts that they're using to deploy AZD, or have written their own custom install logic and are retrieving the binaries from there. So there's no impact to you if you're using the install scripts from AKAMS, like we advise, package managers like Winget, Choco, Brew, or if you're downloading from the GitHub releases directly, as most of our engineering system changes, like the, sorry, what was that? We have a task, a DevOps task. If you're using a DevOps task, it should be downloading from the GitHub releases as well. So these will all be unimpacted. The only folks are those who are doing custom deployments. This host name is going to change, and that'll be coming in the next few days. And that's it. That's all I've got.
Cool. And we will definitely also have some of this in the blog post in case folks need the information later on. We'll probably have it in the next release, but it just has a heads up. It's coming. Cool.
That's it. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Daniel. Awesome. Any questions for Daniel before I move on to, I think, closing us out? Going once, going twice. All right. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you.
Bye. Man, I'm still coming down off that, almost clicking the end stream button. Oh my gosh, that was like an adrenaline rush.
And sometimes you're so quick to click buttons, so it's good you weren't today.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. Sometimes there's like a lag. I think it depends on the number of people that we have in the lobby. And so I click it and there's like this like pause, but I feel like there should be like a transition that isn't so like, hi, Daniel, like you're ripped off the screen, and it seems very, I don't know, it just doesn't seem very friendly or nice, but I mean it in the nicest way, I swear. Grace, do you want to talk about Hacktoberfest?
Yeah, sure. So we're over halfway through October already somehow, but it is Hacktoberfest. which you can learn more at hacktoberfest.com. And Savannah, you can like give more details on this if I'm misunderstanding. But
Yeah.
it's really just an initiative, I think, to encourage people to contribute to open source software. I think some people might be intimidated by it, but people who work on open source software definitely want the community contributing to it as well. That's why it exists. And so this is a good like kind of like encouragement to folks who might maybe not otherwise contribute. This is kind of a really good time to do it. We're welcoming contributions always through our core Azure Dev repo, and then also Awesome-azd. And you can see any issues that we think might be good Hacktoberfest issues, good first issues with the Hacktoberfest tag. And I also just wanted to shout out our first Hacktoberfest contributors, John Aziz, who I know is in this call. His first contribution was displaying the subscription name and ID during AZD provision. And also Christian Lechner, who I think I also saw, he's also in this call. And he's contributed before too, but he, for Hacktoberfest, did one for clickable URL for AZD template show. So thank you both for contributing, and Hacktoberfest isn't over yet, so definitely feel welcome to check out either of the repos, both the repos, and get started with contributing.
Yeah, you got it all, Grace. I think the thing I would just say is that we're always willing to like answer questions or like help folks out if they're interested in contributing. The Azure Dev repo hosts both our core CLI binary as well as our VS Code extension. And then Awesome-azd, as you saw, kind of has all of our templates. So kind of like a smattering of things you could contribute to across multiple programming languages. So don't feel, I guess, intimidated by that. But also, I'm going to like shout out to John, who has unabashedly told everyone that he didn't know Go and has opened like 5 PRs on the AZD repo. So that's like, I think, pretty maybe a testament to Go and its legibility and ease of use. But ask questions. We're happy to help. And as I mentioned before, if you go to our GitHub repo and look at the Help Wanted or the Hacktoberfest labels, I think there's probably like 13 or 14 issues in there that are just labeled in our backlog, and we just haven't gotten to them or haven't had time to prioritize them, but definitely want them. So definitely take a look at that. Reach out to me or Grace or anyone on the engineering team, and we would be happy to kind of point you in the right direction. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers Hacktoberfest. We have more comments in the chat. Gregor empathizing with my adrenaline rush from almost taking the stream down. I have also almost closed the tab before switching around trying to grab stuff. So it's going to happen someday. I can already tell. It'll be really funny. Victor, who's in this chat, just saying thanks to John and the many pull requests that he's opened over the last week. And him and Gregor did a live stream, was that a couple days ago, on kind of John's contributions. And I think he like goes through and actually looks through the AZD code base and walks through how solving an issue. So if you're interested in that, check out Gregor or John on Twitter. I don't think you can link in Git or in YouTube chat. I think it like hides the links, but there's definitely a live stream you could check out to kind of learn about AZD code base and how to contribute during Hacktoberfest. That's a pretty good resource as well. Christian saying that we make it really easy with dev container setup in the repo. I'm a huge fan of dev containers. I'm a Python dev, and the experience of using a dev container and being able to just open a repo in your local dev environment using a Docker desktop, and then also with code spaces, I think is pretty powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, John, thanking Victor for helping him out. We're always happy to, folks. All right. I love how chatty it is this morning. It gives me a lot more energy.
Yeah, it's very encouraging.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Yeah, I mean, we're just carrying on with the thank yous here, y'all.
Yeah, this is a thank you to all of our community contributors in the past month. I think technically some of them, like I think Phil wasn't Hacktoberfest because it might have been at the end of September before 1.4 release, but thank you to Phil for fixing a typo, Christian for updating the Node.js version, and also his Hacktoberfest contribution, and John, who has made 3 pull requests in the past like week and a half, I want to say. for Hacktoberfest. So thank you, John, for your contributions there. I know you have a few more coming too. So thank you for being an active member of our community. It's very exciting.
Yes, love to see it. Frank also just love for dev containers this morning. It's a really cool piece of tech, I think. Cool. Also, Gregor asking about Ignite. I think, do we have a slide on that? I don't think we have a slide on that.
Oh.
I'm giving a session at Ignite. It'll be a quick demo session on the simplified initialization workflow that we released in September. It will be going into public preview in time for the November release. Sneak, I guess, like spoiler alert for that. And I'll be kind of walking through that live on stage, hopefully in about 12 to 15 minutes, no pressure or anything. And then AZD will be featured in a couple other sessions at Ignite as well. And excited to meet anyone who will be there in person.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let us. You want to talk about research?
Yeah, as always, just calling folks to sign up to be a potential participant in our future user research opportunities. We, I think, have a couple coming up before the end of the year. I probably won't share too much about, I guess, what they are yet. But if you want to participate in our research, visit that sign up link. We're always welcoming signups, and we'll let you know if you've been selected to participate in our research. It's really helpful for us. So if you're at all interested, please.
Yeah. And we have formal user research, but at any point in time, if you ever just want to chat for 15, 20 minutes about AZD and your experience using it, Grace and I would love to chat with you and learn from you and try to make the product better using your input. So it doesn't have to be super formal. We're not really scary people. Happy to chat. Reach out to me on LinkedIn or X/Twitter or GitHub, and we can find some time.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Roundtable discussion. Gregor did ask about AZD stickers. I will get more made in time for Ignite. I have been trying to figure out the best way to send them to people en masse because a bunch of people have asked, and currently I'm sourcing it out of my personal mailing situation. So maybe I can find some online store or something where people can just order them. I got 300 made earlier this year for the team, but I'm due for another order. So I gotta do that. All right. Let's bring folks back. I will take this off. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Marina, Wallace, Victor, Daniel. 4 buttons to click. We're all back. Any last questions for the team? Gregor says he's gonna start using AZD more. We love that. More AZD for everyone. Always. I don't know. Any questions? Otherwise, I mean, is anyone working on anything that they want to talk about or are excited about, or just random personal things? I mean, I can maybe show a cat now. Let's see if I can do it. This is my cat. She's been really well behaved this whole call. Her name's Nori. Otherwise, we can also just end here. 46 minutes into the show. Gregor enjoyed the community call. We will be back in January with many an update probably by then, giving the AZD team a bit of a release break after conference stuff. But excited to see you all in the new year. Going once, going twice. Any last questions, comments, thoughts, feelings? I think this is it. We're all busy. Okay, cool. Well, thanks, folks, for all of the presenters. Thank you very much. And thanks for tuning in. We had a pretty excited chat today, which I always appreciate. All righty. Thanks, folks. See you all later. See you in the new year.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.